Hi my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. We're doing part 2 of the Tiny Secrets quilt along for the Constellation, or if you bought the kit, it's called the North Star, which is in my blue Tiny Secrets fabric. We're doing that. I also want to put in another short Q&A, so I'm going to sort of split it up, answering some small ones. And then at the end, I have something that I taped just where I was thinking about I don't know, I'm going to call it a Zen. So I was thinking about this when I filmed something else and I taped it to chat about. So we'll do that right at the end. Okay, so today is Red Rose Day. If you have a quilt with roses, there's so many gorgeous rose fabrics. I'm sure that you've made a quilt. Many of you made quilts with rose fabric with roses on it, or if you actually have roses like applique or pieced roses or something that, share your quilts with roses on it. And yesterday was King Kamehameha's day for Hawaii, because he was the sort of the person who built Hawaii, I guess. I don't know much about it personally, but it's a great day to celebrate Hawaiian quilts. So if you have a quilt, a Hawaiian style quilt, it's a particular style of quilt where they're applique shapes. It's a traditional type of quilt that they have there. So if you've made one of those, I know many of you have visited Hawaii. It's a beautiful state. I have not visited it yet. It's one of the ones I've not been to. So share those quilts. Okay, Tiny Secrets. There it is. This is the Constellation from the Simply Half Yard book. So we've got the Simply Half Yard book, and on page 82, here's the Constellation done in multiple colors of fabric, different colors. And there's many of you have gone and put some of your quilts out because this is a fast sew, and a lot of you won't have not broken it into sections to do each week like I am. So you've got actually some tops shown already. We're doing the points. Where is it on here? Yeah, these kind of arrows. Like this is the section, and those go in the 4 like a plus, right? And then the center is just a square of fabric, so I will show you that. Okay, these blocks are just 2 units. So it's super easy. They're 2 units. 1 unit here, like this, right? So you've got the base fabric and then your sew and flips of the background. And then the other unit is this one, which is the same thing, but the base fabric here, this is the base fabric. Then you have background, sew and flip, and then you have background of what goes in the center to create that star. These are star points for the center, which is here. So now you can see, let me move it up. So now you can see the star point, right? So here is this arrow unit, and you do 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get the star points on all 4 units. So we've got 4 of them. And what I will do is let me go put them up there on the wall. Here are all 4 arrow units. I'll call them arrow units, and then that center square. So if I remove the center square, then you can, see. So if you wanted to do your star with maybe a different center square, like a different color, it really makes the square, I think, pop, the star rather, pop when the square is the same color as the points. I think that really makes a strong star for the middle. But if you want something a little less strong, the other thing for color, and if you're not using my fabrics, or if you're using some of the other colors in my fabric, using these with the white background gives a shadow effect on the outer edges of the star. If you use a fabric that has like a different color background, like if this one had been here, it would be a different effect for that middle star, and the star would not be quite as strong an image. It's a really strong image because these are a white background, and so they recede away from us. So that's something to think about your fabric selection when you're working on this. Now, you can sew the top this week as well if you want. I will probably during the week sew the top for next Thursday, and then there'll be borders. So I may have the borders on too by next Thursday. It just depends on if I can get to them. And then this is the sew along. There are still kits to do it with My Tiny Secrets. So I have a link for you out there. Fun, fun. I really love that this is a fairly fast quilt along. It is one that, you know, you can kind of just put it out there very quickly, and it's a super size. Being, whoops, what did I say it is? It's 60 by 60. So if you have a queen size bed, just the top of your bed is 60 by 60. That star, you know, fits right on the top with nothing under the pillow and no overhangs or anything like that. It just would lay flat on the top. That's the size it is if you were trying to visualize that, which is just amazing. With this book it's a limited number of fabrics. You're using big pieces. It all goes together so quickly. It is just awesome. Okay, remember there's a border around that to get the 60 by 60. So we have a wide-ish background border that frames it out. Yeah, so I'm hoping that a bunch more of you do this. And I want to show you, because I talk about this often, that you can go over to Quilt Along with Pat Sloan and share your quilts, or I tell you go over there and look at them, and that's where people share, and I use them for a quilt parade. So I wanted to just show you what that looks like online. For those of you who might not know that you can come to my group at Facebook here, this is it. What the banner looks like, my picture is on it. If you're in one of the fake groups that somebody set up, there's like 2 of them, you won't see this same banner, you won't have my picture. But anyways, you can come down, you can go to the media tab, you can see right here, media, and you can scroll. It's like a quilt show every day. Here's our ambassador, my friend Carrie, with her Make-A-Wish. There's a mini muffin there. All kinds. There's some of the 100 blocks, and we were all the different teal quilts. And remember, you can create an account just to come and see the quilt things on here. Look at these 4 versions of the Bigfoot quilt. So you know this. Then when you click it, you'll go through. We'll do Carrie's. Well, there's my post. Here's my post on the project. No, this isn't mine. This is Shirley's. She's using the same fabrics as me. That's awesome. Here is my Make-A-Wish quilt, and you can click it and see, and then of course over here then you can see who did the post. Yeah, so this is what it looks like if you're using the media tab to come through and just check out. There was a tip right here on using these Leckerli cookie tins. You might want to see that. Here's another one of our constellations. Look at all of this fun stuff. A welcome message, another constellation here, just without the spacer. See, there's some more of the Make-A-Wish. Here was a question somebody had, but I just wanted to show you what this looks like. If you've not gone to the group lately, don't depend on your feed at Facebook. A lot of times people just go to their feed, which gives you all the ads and all the random stuff, and it might have your family, and it might have some group, and it might have some restaurant, and it might have, you know, an advertisement, whatever. You go right to the group, and then you can go to that media tab. And while I'm here, I'm going to remind you about the Electric Quilt Challenge. For those of you who use the Electric Quilt program, they have a challenge that where you create a quilt with My Tiny Secrets fabric. Isn't that cool? And they have a prize of, I believe they're sending Tiny Secrets. I don't know what else. I forgot, sorry. But the link is in the description box below, and the pinned post, the pinned comment. So you should be able to get to either one of those at any time to see the information. I still have questions. I believe there's one more after today. Maybe not. I can't remember now. I put them in folders, like I chunk the videos into folders, and then when I go to that day, it's like, okay, that's in there for today. So here's a few more questions from you. Another group of Q&A questions from you that were put out on Facebook. Okay, so Nancy says, do I take photos of all my quilts? Yeah, I do. And I have a gallery at my website. You can go and see the ones that I've loaded to the gallery. I mean, I always had a vision I would do that and have a full gallery, but that didn't happen. And a few years back, I finally started the gallery after about 22 years of business and, however many years prior. But it's a start. Barb says, do I ever get overwhelmed with quilting and sewing or just lose my enthusiasm for it? If so, how do you get it back again? First, that's a great question for the community because I work as a business. You don't. Like if you work as a business, you have deadlines and commitments because that's where your income comes from. So it's harder for me to answer that. Yeah, sometimes I don't feel like it. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I had to, really struggle or fit it in, but I had a deadline, I had a publication, I had a video, I had a quilt along. And so just like you do for your job or just like you have done for other things in your life that have commitments, I make it happen. So ask in the community because this question comes up quite a bit and people have great suggestions. Linda wants to know if I ever finished the 52 lists of happiness. You may have told us already and I missed it. You did, you missed it. I finished it when the 52 weeks were done. So whatever year we did that, it was finished then. Yochana says, do you ever have a pajama sewing day? Some days I sew in my pajamas. Today I was wondering if Pat Sloan has ever done that. No, I don't, because I don't like to hang out in my pajamas. It's not what I do. I like to get up and then get a shower and be in my clothing, even when I'm sick. So I don't do that. But I'm sure lots of other people do. So if you do, leave a comment. Debbie wants to know, why do I use single quilt binding? Which means my binding is not doubled over. I just use one turn under, which I've shown you on videos here, and I've talked about this, and I've actually answered this question many times because that's what I like. It's what I learned, and that's what I like. Linda says, I was wondering what is the best improvements in quilting since I started quilting. For her, she started in 1983. It's twofold. She goes, I don't have to make my own templates anymore, and the long arm. I used to hand quilt all my quilts. And, so those are what things that for her. For me, it's the internet. Hands down, the internet is the #1 huge improvement for quilt makers because you now can see so much more information. You can get information. You can watch tutorials. You can take online classes. You can join online communities. So if there aren't quilters near you, you can have a community online. I mean, the benefits of the internet far outweigh any tool or anything else that's out there. Those are great too, but for me, the internet is really the explosion that helped quilt makers. I hope you're enjoying the questions. I am actually enjoying them very much. It's a lot of fun. And I want to thank so many of you that the other day when we had people who had things that I don't really encounter in the same way that you encounter them, or it's just maybe something I've never encountered. And I asked for the community to help out and give some answers. And I thank you so much for those of you who took your time to write a post. And I'm sure that people have gone through to the comments and read them. And you can have a conversation in there. You can reply to somebody's comment, and when you do, they get an email. They should, that you have, they may even get a notice, however you have your YouTube set up, that there's a reply. So you can actually have a conversation with somebody, which is super, super awesome, because there are a lot of you here on YouTube that this is your only place that you get my information. You're not over in my group, or you don't get my emails, which we don't really communicate back and forth via that anyways. So this is a place, remember, this is a place where you can use the comment section here to have a conversation with each other. All right, the last thing is my zen. It's like I just was thinking about this, and it's more like, well, take a look. So the other day when we were talking about the grandma's kitchen, and here's the basket block, and I showed you my quilt as a tribute to my grandma. One of the things that I've been thinking about lately is looking at a lot of those pieces like that, which is very, very old, and I haven't worked on it for eons and eons. The fabrics are all sort of like a different era. I still like the fabrics, but some of them, like the backing, I probably won't use now because it doesn't feel as nice as backings I can get now. Plus, I probably don't want a dark backing, just different thoughts I have. But I want to get all of that stuff together at some point and make a list of what I have and what I want to keep. And if I have stuff I don't want to keep, I'm going to move it on. And I want to do that at some point. I just don't think it can happen this year, but I'm thinking that might be a goal for me to be going through that for next year and to just really get it organized and pick one and finish it, and then go on to the next one and finish it, and just work. I mean, you call them working on your unfinished objects, your UFOs, but for me, they're kind of working on completing a story. These are all stories I started a long time ago, and I really feel like ready to have them completed, to finish that story. So I'm really interested, do you have a quilt like that? And I know that a lot of you do, because in our community, Quilt Along with Pat Sloan over at Facebook, you will show those and you'll say, I worked on this and I got stalled, just like I did on that one. I didn't have the applique skills to really create what I had in my mind, or I didn't feel like I could. But you got stalled, or life happened and you put it away, and now you're ready to complete that story. And so I am really interested in if you have things like that you want to complete. And have you made a list of them? Do you have a plan yet? Are you ready? Are you even ready to complete that story? I think you have to be ready for certain ones. Some of them might have emotional connections. Maybe they were made with clothing from a family member, and so it was hard to work on them at the time. And now maybe years and years and years down the road, you can complete that story for yourself, or if you were giving it to somebody to give to them. So I'm very curious if this is something that you feel, if it's something that interests you. Just let me know here in the comments if you want and you have the quilt or the parts, because it wouldn't be probably finished. It might be a top, but it wouldn't be finished. If you want to share that at Quilt Along with Pat Sloan, if you want to share it to a much smaller community, you can just share it to the Fireside Chat, which is predominantly people who are here watching the YouTube videos. However, remember the big group is like 440,000 people across the world. The smaller group is much, much smaller than that. I don't remember what the number is on that one, but it is not nearly the size of the large group. But I'm curious. I'm really, really curious, because I have thought about it a lot recently, particularly since I've kind of pulled that particular quilt out a few times now. And that is kind of my primary story to finish. And I'm not sure anything else is quite as significant as that. That might be about the only one. The others just might be random things. But I don't know, because I really haven't reviewed them lately. Okay, my friend, I thought that was just a bit of musings, thinking about stuff, and I would really like to have a conversation here with you and hear your thoughts on it. This is a thing I'd really love to have a conversation about, because I think there's a lot of us that have these older projects that they just need time sitting to get to the point where you can complete them, and you still want to complete them. That's the key, because not everything do we want to complete. You've seen me go through many, many things where it's like, okay, I'm over that. I spent enough time on it. I see no reason to spend any more time. I don't even want to finish it. Or maybe you just say, okay, you shut it down. That's how big it becomes, like my 100 blocks. I'm just not, I don't have bandwidth for that anymore. Or interest, and that many of us have that. But the ones that need time, you might be using clothing of a loved one, or it just might be your skill set's not quite where it needs to be, so you end up shelving it for a while until your skill set's a little stronger and you feel a little more confident to tackle it. There's lots and lots of reasons. I would love to hear about yours, and you can have that conversation here at YouTube in the comments, or you can go over to Facebook to the Quilt Along with Pat Sloan if it's quilt related. If you want to talk about a non-quilt related, YouTube or the Fireside Chat. Because remember, the Fireside Chat is just a group for us here at YouTube in my Facebook group, so that it can be a little, it's more diverse conversation. Yeah. Okay. All right, my friend. I am excited about the Constellation quilt. And remember, there are still kits for the blue. So if you love my Tiny Secrets and you love blue, we did blue because it's kind of the universal color. And plus, Make-A-Wish, I did the red. So you saw Make-A-Wish, I did in red. The blue, the blue colorway, I'm doing Constellation. And then when we do the mushrooms and the parfait, it will be all the fabrics. And so that for Tiny Secrets. So you'll get to see it done, the Tiny Secrets fabric, my fabric done in, for these 4 different ways. But I love the blue. It is so classic. And so you can still pick up a kit and a background, a backing rather, and of course the background is in the kit. All right, my friend, I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.